Dance music, dancing. Why we not dancing?
So somebody's doing a little bit of
You know,
merch
oh my, yeah, look at that. You know,
placement
music that I like.
going.
When I hear
The
music
what?
that I like, it keeps on going in my head. It doesn't stop. Like I'm still hearing bang, dang, tung, 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 tung. Yes,
Yay.
yeah.
Yay.
Yeah, man.
I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Excited, ready to chat.
Good,
Could be
good
Yeah,
to see you.
like, yeah,
on the tabletop.
Feels like I see her every day, even though we're not even in the same space, but I feel like I see her
right.
every day, which is great. Yeah.
Yeah.
So last week, what we did, telling our stories.
Mm-hmm.
Neila, you said you had a little thing that came up.
Yeah. So the Tallawah you say is
Yes.
what he said now.
Oh, yeah. So let's tell her what you said.
Yeah. Right. So it was interesting. I attended the Gender and Development lecture at Edna Manley College's Founders Week last week.
Mm-hmm.
And the speaker was Dr. Deborah Hickling Gordon. A number of us know her as cultural advocate, policy advocate, and so on in Jamaica, creative industries advocate. And she was speaking about democracy and decolonization, particularly in terms of gender and creative endeavor in Jamaica. So one of the things she spoke about reminded me about we were talking about in terms of some of the stories that we don't actually know of because they're not often told. She spoke particularly about the importance of middle class Jamaican women, creative women, in political and cultural movements being formed in Jamaica's very pregnant pre-independence and independence times. Spoke about Miss Lou, who actually was from a middle class background with her family owning a bakery and that sort of thing. Lloyd Kelly Miller, there are people who started these movements on the veranda talks. She called them the veranda talks. So it's almost like, I guess maybe kind of like how they would have a salon in the Harlem Renaissance time, where the artists and the creative thinkers and the political thinkers came to talk. But this happened on a lot of middle class verandas, and food was there, and people talked, and ideas came about. One of the things about it that was important, and Mikey was saying to you a while ago, is that the way that the middle class at that time saw all Jamaicans was really through an eye of love, and an appreciation. And when you think about the way that Miss Lou, for example, went abroad and was doing everything in the Queen's English or the King's English at the time. I'm not sure who was a monarch at that time. And then chose and said, no, we are right. We're elevating patois, right? We're putting it in its correct place because of the love that she had for the people for whom that was their first and primary way of communicating. So there is a way in which those middle class persons were able, because of through love and through the eyes of love, to represent ourselves to us so we could love ourselves. And the work still stands. And so those are some of the stories that we haven't been really able to hear of through that kind of lens. And it reminded me immediately about what Mikey Harris was talking about in our last episode. There's been such a focus on a particular kind of story because we need to level the playing field, hear about those oppressed and suppressed voices. But there are also other voices that have been helpful culturally and politically to Jamaica's creative story. So I was like, look at that.
Yeah.
Look.
So today, I think I mentioned it. I went and saw One Love. This is not going to be a review. I just want to say something that stuck out to me. Apart from how much I loved it, what stuck out to me, there were certain little nuances that the details that they just got right, and there were details that were personal to me because I went to Vast Prep, and so did Stephen Marley and Ziggy Marley. And so immediately when they had encountered these two little boys in this uniform, I was like, wait, that's a Vast Prep uniform. I bet you that's Stephen, and sure enough it was. And so they had that thing there. So I mean, and then again, going to what you were saying, Neila, I mean, yes, Bob come from some really hard difficult background, especially being at the time from a British daddy and a Black Jamaican mother, and the daddy and their family wanted nothing to do with him. But as he, as happens with a lot of artists, eventually, because they're making money, they're in now the middle class, and all his children went to prep schools, private schools, and that kind of stuff. So I mean, it's something to be aware of. Anyway, what else? Yeah, Tala say why you
Tallawah, what you say? Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, nice. Thanks for bringing that up. Yeah. Anything else, Mikey?
No.
Tabletop time.
Tabletop time.
Tabletop time. Hang on, I'm trying to look at theme music.
All right.
Cool. Oh, it's gonna play. Boy, I keep forgetting about this loop. Anyway,
I got the extra circle in.
Right. Yes. So, we're Festive Bad.
Wow.
We're Festive. Let me just flash a little. Yes, we're Festive Bad.
Festive Bad.
Bad. Why was the festive? What we're talking about? We're talking about festivals, right?
I was thinking about it because I've noticed, particularly since the COVID panic part and the pandemic part has been shifted to the side. Not to say COVID gone, and the sector has opened up again. The creative sector has opened up again to have a number of events, and I noticed that people are calling a lot of like these one day events festivals. And I was like, I wonder what does it mean to have a festival as against a concert, or a festival as against a bazaar, or a festival as against an event. And when I think of festivals, in fact, this was helpful to me last year. I think it was our year before. I had started a course through UWI and University of Bahamas that dealt with festival and carnival spaces. It was a lot of Caribbean people, from all over the Caribbean coming to learn about the roots of festival making and carnival making, masquerade, and also monetizing that part of it, but also understanding the history. I left because it was like, okay, yeah, I think we're losing the reason for these things because we're getting caught up in how the things are being monetized and manipulated for tourism and those sort of things. And the people who wanted to learn that part, but weren't so interested in the foundations, even though the courses had the foundations. For me, festivals have to do with you celebrating something that is, it could be a momentous moment, it could be a momentous person, it could be a momentous part of your cultural life that you want to commemorate. It could be a special date, something that happened on a special date. It could be something that's extremely important to your culture. As against, for example, something that's like a bazaar where you have, yes, people are selling wares and the wares are coming out of artistic and cultural experiences, but would you call that still a festival? Festivals for me usually have they could have a kind of a ritual component, an opening and a closing.
So it kind of cries out for a socio-political or a socio-religious thing, because a festival is really a community-based event. A festival is a community-based event, or an event that is facilitated through a community to celebrate a particular event, as you say, a particular idea, a theme, a motif, a religious context, a political context, a person. So a festival is not just an event, but it's an event that is facilitated through community to celebrate something that is relevant to that community that they want to share within the community, and to others who they think are of like minds and can appreciate what it is that they bring to the table as a community. So a festival is really a community event. And I can tag in right here just to say, like with the Jamaica Dance Umbrella, which is coming up, which is here, that is that festival is facilitated through the dance community in Jamaica. You understand? And so various festivals, the Bull Run Festival in where that there again?
In Spain.
Spain, right? That is facilitated.
Running up
there, it's facilitated through their communities. Now I don't know why. I don't know the reasons why they put these 6 bulls to run through the city, and since 1910, I believe, and I think about 15 people have died since then. Those people gave their lives for this running up festival because for some reason it's important to them. You know,
but it's also it's I mean, a community, and it's in addition to that, it's a social thing. It's a thing where people are exchanging ideas, and not only one person or one thing is being featured necessarily. There's going to be a range of things and people and expressions being featured in the festival. And so the festival is not going to celebrate one narrow way of how this thing might look, but a range of ways that these things might look from a range of people. And that's the festival. You know, because you're being exposed yourself, even from if you're participating, you're being exposed to other things and other people and other ways, right? And that is, for me, that is what makes the festival the festival. Is this way of this exchange and this community and this social aspect to it, where you are giving up what you know, what you have, and who you are, and it's being enjoyed and accepted, and you're doing the same for other people.
Right. And so a festival is a communal investment. It's a communal investment on the part of the persons who are curating or facilitating it, but also those who choose to partake of it. That's an investment, because a festival is a kind of thing. You go to a festival. I think we attend festivals in a different energy and space and a mental frame than how we'd go to a regular party. You know, you go into a party, you expect to enjoy yourself or not, and you're kind of going to feel a vibe. But when you go into a festival, there's something about a festival that has its own energy. When you go to Rio Carnival, which I have not been to, Michael, you probably have, I don't know, or Trinidad Carnival, those festivals, a friend of mine, Rayan, she said, was it Rayan? I don't remember who it was. Somebody said to me, Michael, have you been to Trinidad Carnival as yet? And I said, like, at this age and stage of my development, no, I feel so un-Caribbean.
Me too.
Yeah, I just feel so un-Caribbean. I've never been. But when we talk about that festival, people talk about Trinidad Carnival, there is you can feel the energy. You feel that they're not just talking about a party. They're not just talking about the fact that people going to line up and drink and stuff like that. There's a way in which it transforms your energy in the space. And it's like Las Vegas. When you go there, when you leave there, what you see there, you don't talk about it. You know, how it goes. But it's kind of like that. It's that kind of thing that it transforms your energy, so to speak.
It's ritual, and it came out of ritual. It started out of ritual.
But also part of it too is, and it is true for the Trinidad Carnival, is that this community thing also provides jobs, provides opportunity for the community. When I was in Valencia, they have a thing that happens around Easter time called the Fires Festival, and it's a week-long thing. But it happens week-long. But from the minute that, because at the end of it, they burn down all of these big sculptures that they make. But the day after they burn down those sculptures, they start building the next sculptures for next year. And every community, there's several communities in Valencia, and there's like a little community square in each of them. So that is where showcases their big sculpture. And it could be something that's political, it could be something that's historical, it could be whatever. But this is really elaborate and well-made sculptures that sometimes look cartoonish or otherworldly or whatever. And then in between all those streets of those things, there are people selling food and selling craft and selling this and blah blah blah. And there are people selling fireworks, because this is Spain, and there's fireworks from 2 o'clock in the morning until 1 the next morning. every day. They take a break for like 5 minutes, and so
Oh my gosh.
so but for the whole week, the whole place is just it's festive. Literally, it is literally festive, and they're walking. Everybody's walking on the streets, talking with each other. They have their pets, their dogs. They're going for walks, having lunch, they're having dinner. They're checking out the sculptures, and they're going between the different communities and having a blast.
And there's this massive firecracker something festival in Suriname. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
I would have run away.
I want to run away internally, but you're walking in the street everywhere, and then you look
like maybe it's related to the Spanish thing, because in this fires festival, every day I think at around 2:00 they have a big cube, and it's a massive. It's like it's bigger than like I'm a man. It's like 3 times of just firecrackers, and it's called I think it's called la mezcla or something or mascleta. It's called mascleta. They light that, and for 15 minutes, all you hear is pop, 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 pop. Yeah. Every day though. Every day for the week.
So tell me something. I mean, am I wrong, you think, in questioning whether or not the duration that you have dedicated to this festival matters? Meaning,
it could be a one-day festival. I don't.
Can be a one-day festival.
I mean, Google Walk was a one-day festival.
True, but it's a matter of the community. It's a matter of the purposes. Yeah. It's a matter of the levels of engagement that people have in the doing and in the outcome.
Yeah.
You see, yeah, because for example, we have grown up. Go on again.
Community can mean a lot of things. It's because it's not necessarily people living in a certain space. It can be people who work in a particular type of way.
For sure.
Artist community and stuff like that. Yeah.
For sure. You have a shared goal. You have a shared experience of something. You have a shared purpose in a way. I'm thinking about, for example, in Jamaica, we do have a lot of food-based festivals that come up that are usually one-day kind of festivals. We've had pork festival, we have jerk festival, we have seafood festival, coffee festival recently.
Rum, Micah said rum, yeah.
Rum festival, right? And we've had a lot of music events that are festivals, and then some that term themselves as festivals.
Which aren't, yes.
Which aren't, because what I think is more that it's the trappings of a festival without the actual festiveness of a festival, without the ethos and the philosophy behind what festivals are supposed to do.
Right.
But there's been a perfect proliferation. And then on top of that, we have the legacy of the word festival to mean our annual celebration of independence, but a lot of it is through competition too. So it's not even just through just sharing.
Yeah,
there's this competitive lens that festival time brings up.
But that's a massive festival, Our JCDC festival is a massive festival. It lasts for a long time. Up on end with these people who are showcasing the culture, competing in the culture, performing, and then it culminates in the Grand Gala, which is another massive event within that festival. And you have the dance festival, you have the music festival, you have gospel,
culinary arts. So
these things are part of that massive independence festival time that JCDC puts on. I'm not sure. I hope I said it right, but
you captured it,
And so we have an example of that and how it works and how festival works. And yet, ironically, although we have such a massive festival, there are things within that context which are sad for me in terms of how, after all of these times, when we have people like Nettleford and Joyce and Campbell, and
in the 60s when they started,
they went into the field, they did their research, they unearthed so many things, which is a part of the mandate, and then come back out and then start to share it, and then people catch the vision and start to use it to create and to further extend, proliferate what it is and who we are, representing who we are and stuff like that. But over a period of time, it's like festivals come to be kind of like a dirty word.
That's what I want to get at.
Unity. Sometimes, so if you see a choreographer doing a certain type of thing and say, "Oh, that's festival," and what they mean is that it's bad. But I do understand what they do. What they mean is that after the work that was done to unearth this part of our culture, and give us a chance to create with it and around it, everybody did create and work around it, so that when you see it now, it's just so festival because.
But I think for me though, Michael, that thing of it's just so festival is in a way kind of a classist thing to say.
Very much.
Just like when some singers go, "Oh, but that's so cabaret." Like there's something wrong with cabaret. There's nothing wrong with cabaret. Right? But they'll "Oh, you're not a real artist, you're a cabaret artist," or "Oh, you're not a real artist, you're a wedding singer." Or that is a kind of classism. And so we just see what it is. See what it is.
The thing is that kind of false dichotomy between low art and high art. You know, folk art and formal art or whatever else it is. The thing is what it is. And if you're unearthing, you're gonna get things that are at different levels and stages of even of development, right? Of readiness.
Too.
Yeah, you have to have it. I think that we become so used in this country to only have one, how can I say this now? Maybe one major purveyor of a thing. There can be only one. And so that one is supposed to be the catch-all for everything.
I think usually the one that makes the most money.
Well, there we go. But yes, exactly. But Edna Manley College is kind of like that, where if you want to sing, compose, play, you must go there. There's no streamlining. If you want to choreograph, dance, write about dance, make dance films, you have to go there. And it's supposed to, and I think in terms of festival has tried to do that, where that is a catch-all for everybody who wants to be interested in the arts at all, which kind of sometimes prevents it from being able to streamline itself now, move into a new direction, and really deal with the development of the skills of the various people who come, so that at every level, yes, you will say you have a beginning level, but you also have a more kind of advanced level and a more kind of advanced, because money is being spent on development and not just showcasing anymore.
So that brings me to two things though, Neila. One thing is that, we might say community, but I think in our Jamaican context, we have lost sight of the community aspects. When we think community, we think a politician funneling money towards a group of people that them support. When I'm thinking of and when I imagine what that again, going back to the Spanish thing of this community of people coming together, artists and whatever, and they're working, they're getting funded to whatever, but they're doing it. But they also have people who are apprenticing with other people and learning the thing, and there's a turnover and a continuation of this art form that they're teaching the younger ones, and they're getting it. There's the building thing. They have these symphonic bands, and all those people are learning, and they're practicing every evening to play these things. They could be doing other things, but they're learning as well, so they're doing both, right? And there's funding for that. But I think we don't truly have a community aesthetic or even understanding with what we're doing. We're kind of so we're doing this depending on the thing. Now to the other thing about training and that kind of stuff. And I say it, I'm tired to say it. I say it to you guys. I'm not tired because I'm going to keep on saying it. That when you unearth all these people who are doing folk, and just because it's not reggae and it's not an artist that can go on a show, then when festival done and it's done for them, right? But the truth is, even beyond our shores, Jamaican shores, there are folk festivals and there are other kinds of festivals, real festivals that are happening. That I'm sorry for saying real festivals. This is a real festival, but yeah, but you know what I mean. So, but I think the next level to what they were up to, the unearthing, should be the packaging and the preparing these people to be submitted to these folk festivals around the world. So once Jamaica Festival done, then the next 6 months there's a circuit that they're going on doing tours with this thing that they've created and that their community and their lifeblood brings out in them, and they're touring with their merchandise. so they can make little extra money and whatever, and they're throwing with their knowledge, and you're prepared at a lecture that they can give at this university and that university, and then when they're not doing the performance. There's so much that could happen. And I remember asking, let me not bring that up. I remember, in the matter. I remember speaking to Edward Sag about it and asking why didn't he push anything else but reggae? And he kind of laughed. He kind of shrugged. I mean, he was older, but you could tell it was it's like in the onset thing is what you thought about what? That was the onset thing. Because all it is reggae was the more viable one. That was a popular one. So that's what he pushed. He didn't push anything else, even though he was heavily involved in communal and other things.
And
but he never see it as a lucrative thing or something that could benefit the other people. So anyway,
I think also I think he pushed what was already growing. I don't know if it's even. I think one of the things that we have to think through is that a lot of what has happened for Jamaica in terms of music, dance, drama is not because a politician has pushed it. They might have invested in the investigation of it, but the pushing of it and the it's been
but Mike, the initial push with ska and stuff was because the government pushed it to the World Fair in New York. They took a band, they took music, they took dancers, and that was the initial push with that stuff.
Yeah, but they still take those things now, and they still take those things different spaces. But it's the people who have fully embodied a thing and represented a thing and keep on working with it. I think it's just that people gravitated towards certain things more, and for those that were not as exciting for the people at the time, or maybe we have a bandwagonism thing. So if a reggae around for the reggae thing, and so people were probably just running towards the reggae thing. And so what government should do in cases like that is to balance out the thing, because they have that kind of prerogative. And that's what you're saying, Mike, that they should.
Yeah, but they're also wagonists, so.
Meaning we have a
soapboxes. Huh? So they have to be wagonists and soapboxers as well. Jump up on soapboxes too. That's what they win.
That's their job. There's this thing though that we have that I wish we would change, which is thinking that the culture is disposable and outdated. So for example, when it comes to something like ska is a living genre still, but in the rest of the world,
the rest of the
world is making money at ska festivals and so on. People are making money, if you want to even think about it commercially. They're benefiting from the joy and the ethos of ska music. And we're out here. If somebody tried to do ska now, they're gonna say, "I want you." I mean, I was so glad when the Jolly Boys emerged, to bring Mento and so on back into our cultural space. But we are, as a massive, just really interested in what is current and what is now. Mike, you shared a video with me. I think it was the Toronto Raptors, the dancers.
Yes.
Toronto Raptors for the Caribbean Heritage Week, and they did a dance hall mashup.
Yes.
And I was even saying, I said to Mike, I knew that it was not a Jamaican DJ who did the mashup because of what he was drawing for in terms of the samples. He was drawing for Supercat, he was drawing for Beanie Man, he was drawing for all of these older songs as well as the new songs. And even in terms of
how it was structured and what was put first and what was put last.
Right.
Not going to put the older stuff last.
Right.
And Jamaica, the dirt and the thing, put that last because that's the most exciting thing. But how it was structured,
exactly. Then we kill you with the dirt, then kill you with the bird and kill you with the dirt until the next person come. Yeah. I cannot. So meaning we have the depth, but because we are so in it and with a perspective of only what is current is necessary, we're not using the depth and breadth of the cultural legacy that we have in terms of that. And I mean, festivals, for example, I think are a way of reminding people about the importance of some of those past things to bring them back to get a resurgence. But it's not just, it can't just be showcasing. You have to deal with the nurturing, the unearthing, and all of that. So the development and then the showcasing. But I think, for example, for something like, let us say, I should ask a friend of mine who's involved, like with Coffee Festival, for example. Jamaica does have the best coffee in the world. I still say.
According to my experts, yes.
Well, it deserves celebration. You know, what are some of the other things, like the food legacy things that are from long time? We're very excited about continuing to celebrate them. But what about the cultural legacy things from a long time? They're not dead. They're not dead, you know. And I think because the JCDC festival time exists, people aren't necessarily looking to pull out and help to push a particular part of those cultural things in their own kind of festival. You know, a traditional forms kind of festival. I think, did they try a Junkono festival one time? Was that something that was tried?
Yeah, it was so I think Junkono was brought back since so like in the 1940s. I think they created a festival. I think
part of the issue though
for Junkono. And then, you know, that was the reason for its resurgence. Because remember, you know, back when Master did say, anything that is too festive, that make you too rebellious, that make you seem too empowered, it have to chop out. And so the bringing back of that was a deliberate kind of thing. So I just wanted to add something to what you were saying before, Neila, which is that I just want to add that I think that a festival is an investment in the sacredness of a particular event. Investment in the sacredness of an idea or something that's coming out of the community, an investment in that. And if you don't have something that is a part of that kind of representation or representing of us and how we see ourselves and that appreciation for that sacredness, then it's not really a festival. And sometimes festivals can lose their effectiveness, lose their effect, lose their affect, lose their impact. And so when that happens, I think it's time for you to reinvestigate why, and then again work through how can we bring back the sacredness. And I think that we need to bring back some of the sacredness of the JCDC festival. I think we're just kind of doing it now. When I say we, because I'm involved.
Just going.
It's now become a part of the thing that we do, but we need to reinvestigate where is the sacredness in this moment. And it's just like when we talk about the Anansi the first week and people cuss week. I think you can talk about what is festival now, as in JC. Yeah. What is it representing now? We're not at the place where we were just talking. We were just investigating. Now we are creating with it. You know? Yes, ma'am.
So Mike, that as well as what Neila was saying, in terms of where we're not celebrating this stuff, but I think there's something that we have that where we think that once something has become popular, it shouldn't change, and it must just and then when we decide that it can't change, then we stop. Then we're looking for the next new thing because this is not growing anymore. So Ska, we determined it can change, and it's only we determined that in Jamaica that it can change, because anywhere else that Ska went, it has been changing and it has been thriving. Right, so we determined that mentor can change, but then when the Jolly Boys came back, it changed because they were doing Amy Winehouse and they're doing all these other kinds of stuff, and it was popular for a while. And so we determined for a while that reggae couldn't change, and it was about to die. And then it started little incremental change, but we're getting back to the place where people are saying, "Oh, it can't change." You know, so dancehall is the one place that keeps changing. That you know. That no matter how many times people try and say, "Oh, you can't do that. That's not dancehall." Oh, yes, it is, because I say it's dancehall, and I'm the one originating.
That's why.
Right? It's not dead. No matter how much I'm trying to say we're dead, that it's not gonna die.
Yeah.
And so you know all these little things, and the same thing with JCDC, the folk forms, and you know what? This is my horse already, where they determine, okay, the folk is like this and it can't change. This is how it must do, and this is how Rex did it, or this is how Tingley did it. But when they did it, that wasn't how it was. That's not how they found it.
Right.
So they changed it to do it the way they did it. You know, and you can change it too. You can grow. You can innovate, and it still will be folk. and that sense of innovation is missing. We're trying to just replicate what has been done, and it's across the board. We just keep trying to. This is how it goes. So I'm trying to do the same way. You know?
In the dance competition, in the syllabus, you have, particularly with the folk forms, you have the traditional forms festival. There's no deviation. So what you really are trying to do is it's not that you are replicating, but the importance you're honoring the traditional. And I remember someone saying to me, I think it was when I went to New Waves Festival in Trinidad last year, talking about the fact that every time you, in your present state, dance the traditional forms, it becomes new. Your ancestors are dancing with you, but it also becomes new because you're doing it in the new moment. So having the traditional forms festival in and of itself, that's fine. And then the dance festival now, for the folk section, involves creative folk B and C, but creative folk B has to do with other Caribbean spaces. Okay. Creative folk A is Jamaican traditional forms, which allows you the leverage now to be able to respectfully and creatively riff on the traditional information, but not make it into contemporary form. Right? So there has been that sort of space to do that in the dance festival for sure. I know that.
Good. Okay.
And I wanted to also say that I noticed recently, like it might have happened last weekend or something like that, the Alpha Boys band had a scare night at Devon House. And I said to myself, what a nice thingy. And I hope it comes again. I hope it happens again, because people need a space to go and jollificate. A nice safe space to go and dance up a storm, because you cannot not be jollificating if it's scare music.
Yeah, big up yourself, Joy Brown and Ivad. Yeah, and
Game Magnus.
And Game Magnus, at Alpha. Yes. I like that, but as we're talking through this, I'm realizing, and here I come back again, because you see, like, oh, your horse is the folk farms.
Yeah.
My horse is cultural policy, baby. That's my. You just swear that's policy me study, but no, but it's because I see as an artist how much more it would help us if it was very purposefully and intentionally written to be practical. So you look, and it has a council working with it. The council looks and says, all right, I noticed that this is flagging. I noticed that attention to this important part of our culture is flagging. I noticed that certain kind of recipes, let us say nobody not making dukun anymore. All right, but we really want to make sure, all right, we're going to have one cornmeal dukun festival. I know. Meaning you do the things not to make money, you do the things to shore up the cultural stuff that you find that is flagging.
Perpetuate, yeah.
And that is entrenched in policy to say every 5 years we look and we see, and then in preparation for the festival,
that's
development workshops.
That's because that's a part of what makes us who we are.
Exactly. So you don't just try to show already. You say, okay, so in 2 years' time, we want to have this kind of festival. All right, let's work along with these people who are already doing the thing. Let's go and get some money from UNESCO to see if we can make it intangible cultural heritage, so that by the time the 2 years come, there are more purveyors and we can actually celebrate that. It's that kind of strategic thinking that policy and council helps that we don't have. So you find a person with one idea, entrepreneurially creating a festival. It's not coming out of community. It's not coming out of national need.
Right.
Coming out of maybe a ministerial idea. It is coming out of an entrepreneurial idea.
And it's not quite the same.
And it's not the same. I think that's what was kind of
wrong with it. Nothing wrong with it.
Oh, there's space for it.
But it's different. It's different.
Yeah, I remember I went to, we call the names. I went to Lost in Time festival, and having been to festivals of a similar nature before, I said to myself, I was really want to say, is this a festival or is it more about of a concert? There are things there, there's a merchandise space, there's a lot of the food stuff, it's a longer day. But but then what is it that makes it a festival? There are 2 stages, but even so, people have to walk from the other one to the other one and back and forth.
That sounds familiar. Anyway,
it sounds familiar, but at the same time, like I was even thinking, I said, well, you have to think about your disabled patrons, think about your older patrons. Yes, you have plasma screens, but like, what about having the stages not so far apart, that sort of thing? But anyway, I said to myself, would a festival have a general and a via and a comfort and an elevated skybox for X amount of money? And so I'm thinking, I started to think about the name, because a concert, that's different, but a festival, I wonder, you know, the tier pricing and so on. Are we confusing and conflating a number of things, trying to do a number of things? Is it that they have more of an idea as to what they want to do when they have more days? You know, bring on different kinds of acts and so on, and it's better supported because it's still pretty young. But I really found myself asking those kind of questions.
You're basically saying the trappings of a festival doth not a festival make.
Right, exactly. Not just yet. Even though the air was festive, I'm not saying that it wasn't. And or maybe it is that festivals are morphing into something else. So you have different tiers and levels of experience, but at the same time, having it tiered according to how much money you spend does not community engagement make. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm thinking, there's probably ways like there's EDM festivals, which is just a stage, right?
Right.
But then there's a more elaborate, like I went to this thing in Barcelona called the Sonar Festival. The Sonar Festival was about 4 days, and it was all kinds of music. They had like a warehouse that you take a bus to that had about 4 different stages. You saw people like Chic and Massive Attack and all these different people. But then also during the day they had like a maker space where people were showing off their technology. And in that space as well, there was another warehouse to the side that had 2 different stages where you could see people like Nena Cherry and things like that. And then there's also a stage outside where DJs were playing with fake, the fake grass, the AstroTurf, and people were, and stuff. And then of course there was food. So for me, again, that felt like because there was events around the city. So there was, in a sense, it was kind of community involvement. And there's also a variety of things to do from 9 o'clock in the morning till 2 the next morning for 3 days in a row. And it was mainly about the music, so Sonar makes sense. I don't know what the meaning of the Lost in Time thing is. I don't know how that relates to what was actually there, because I've never been there, so I don't know. I can't speak. But just to share that.
I just want to share as well that it's not like we're saying that there's anything wrong with the event.
No.
It was a good event.
I've only heard good things about it. So
yeah. So yeah.
No man, it was a good experience. I mean, when you think about the fact that the rain was falling, misting, and people were still in it and engaged because the performances were good and the setup of the stage and really class, like really good. But
made it a festival.
There was being in the rain.
Made it a festival,
right?
Because then the community was engaged.
Very true.
A particular theme, around a particular energy, idea, event. The Rain Festival within Lost in Time.
Okay, I'm with you.
Lost in Rain.
When Mikey Harris, when you're talking about events around the city, I remember Kingston on the Edge.
Oh, what a wonderful festival it was.
And Kingston on the Edge, I mean, at the time, it was like, okay, that's really smart. Yeah, with Enola and Omar and so on. It's so smart because things are already happening. So they're going to actually just make use of those things and then have some signature things happen as well. And for years, it was like an outlier standard bearer for this idea of, because sometimes through Kingston on the Edge, that's the only time that somebody had their work in this space downtown, or I could get to dance, under the halfway tree bus park.
Right. Yeah.
Remember, sorry, I just have to say it. So it was 3 of us dancing. There was a lot of murder going on at that time. And so we did an improvisation called Minutes of Silence, me, Safi, and Kofi. And I remember holding me in it, you know, and I'm holding on to the grill and like the bar that they have, and I'm upside down on the thing. And one lady passed me, you know, and she'll go work. It's like a Saturday morning. She'll go work, you know, and she'll walk and say, "Man, you broke your neck." God, I'm not trying to hold it up because, of course, I'm upside down. But like, even in terms of like that kind of ability to engage,
yeah.
people.
You know what that says to me though is that another thing about a festival is that a festival gives permission to artists to experiment, to create, to tap into a part of themselves that they would not necessarily go into when they're going for the entertainment value, because it's the entertainment value that gives you the bread to eat every day.
Right.
You might be an artist, and there might be some things that come to you, and you're just not gonna put that on a stage. But when there's a festival, you have an opportunity to put it on a stage. There's a festival, and you have an opportunity to share in a way that you would not normally share.
And that's the Gunga walk that we put on.
Yeah.
Three of us put on.
Yeah.
Gave people that opportunity as well, because it wasn't just one style of music or one style of theater or whatever. So I mean, you and
just run into something with my
your
dog.
dog. Okay. Yes. So yeah, it was the performers enjoying other performers as well, because usually once they came, they never left. That once they performed, they'd still be there enjoying other people and sharing their audiences. But yeah.
I think about even something like Edinburgh Fringe, to what Mikey Holgate was saying too. Fringe, meaning it's not going to be the mainstream stuff that you're going to see at some of these other kinds of theater festivals or whatever. So all of the kind of crazy, weird, experimental, strange art
you normally have upstage.
Right. So Fringe now has become, Edinburgh Fringe Festival has kind of become probably as a mainstream established festival for the fringe things.
Yes.
You know, and interestingly, because usually it's when you can't get anywhere else, maybe, that you get onto Fringe, but no, Fringe is the main stage. You know what I mean? Where are because, and once again, I tell you, it has to do with this idea of people seeing ahead and seeing what we need to be able to push forward. Where are the persons thinking from a central space? Let's push forward the fringe part, because we need to have a space for experimental things, right? Not that experimental things need to be subsumed in everything else where it might be too uneven, right? Somebody else can do that, and that's great. But like, who's thinking to say, I also went to EDM, I guess it's termed an EDM festival, Electric Bangers, on Saturday. I go to him, I do road in anyway.
Man, you broke your neck. Man, you broke your neck.
No, that later. So it was interesting because I was supposed to have gone from 4 o'clock to like 2 o'clock. So it's a longer time in terms of not just a concert or not just a party. But I said festival. I said, I wonder what else is going to be there. It's fledgling, but it's this idea of what is it that we have in the culture that needs to be promoted because it exists and it's valid, but where are they? What institutional support would they be able to get for that? Because that's not coming from a set of people who are examining our culture and saying, yeah, man, this exists and it needs to be brought forward. That's coming from the people who love it, wanting to push it forward. So that's all private money where some people don't really have. You understand what I'm saying? So the idea of I guess every time we talk, I'm gonna keep coming back around to having to have that superstructure and that framework that is objective and sees us not only as reggae dancehall people, but diverse people with things that and the whole tapestry needs to be buoyed up and supported at certain points in time and funded and put forward. And festivals are a way of getting people interested in and learning about things.
And that Fringe Festival established itself as the place where if I do want to see something that's fringe, this is where I'm going to come.
Right.
And when they came to that festival a few times, they go, oh, but this taste is different, but it's nice, and I'll keep coming back. And even though it's still fringe and there's still the other stuff is still going on, so it's an appreciation for variety. But yeah, it's a question: who's going to shore up those things? Nobody.
Yeah. You know,
so far.
One of the things that comes to me also about a festival, I just realized that I've been defining festival throughout for the whole night. You know, but anyway, so what just gives me a festival is it's a space to build audiences. Because you go to a festival and you see, when you go to a festival, you're not just seeing one act. A festival is not usually just one performer or one band or one anything. So you're going to a festival and you're seeing it's a curated event where somebody or a group of people have put together something that they think is worth you seeing. And usually you're not gonna see. It's not like you love this artist and you pay for go see this artist. You might love this artist and you know this artist is gonna be there. They might also see another artist there who you have never seen before, never heard of before. And so when you go there, the festival is building an audience for these other artists, maybe these fringe artists who are on the periphery, politically, socially, artistically. And now they get a kind of platform which gives has a potential of making them mainstream, or even if not mainstream, giving them an audience that they never had before. Somebody sees something and say, you know, wow, that's worth looking at again. I remember when Neila planted herself. She dug a hole and planted herself next to a tree at Edamale College. And she was there for about 3 hours, just lying there. Now, who the hell says that is art? But then she said it was art. And I was just like, oh my God, what commitment. Now, sometimes commitment alone is enough for you to invest in an artist. Because you see something and then you say, my God. And also Neila, again, I remember it was a Kingston on the Edge, and it was in I think it was in one of the museums or something like that, some art gallery or something.
Yeah,
and doing
Mutual Gallery.
And I was just like fascinated. I wasn't as fascinated with the planting near to the tree, but I was fascinated by the art gallery one. And so an artist can become your artist at a festival, even if you are not fully invested in all of their art. You can become invested in artists.
Then, yeah.
And so festivals are also integral for that kind of thing.
I want to find out, particularly like how Mikey Harris, you spoke about, you know, the what next from our Jamaica festival, especially with the competition component. I mean, I love the competition component. I don't think it's necessary, but you know, that's another conversation. But in terms of seeing where else it goes, like I'm kind of wondering what the festival cycle and the festival pipeline looks like, because there's a way in which people feel like festival is a culmination of a process. A festival is, you do the big showcase. So for example, you're talking about the one in Spain where the community builds these things. And then the biggest part of it is that it's not the showcase of it. The part of it is the burning of it, and then the restarting. And I'm wondering, because we have this way, even in general performance, of just seeing the culmination as the end, like the big showcase, that is the end. Good, lock up shop, strike the set and go home. But because of the nature of festivals as well, and you know, maybe even because of some of their connections to things that we don't even think about anymore, like equinoxes and springtime and those sorts of natural rhythms, the cycle never stops.
Exactly.
It doesn't stop. And if it's even the cycle of planning or the cycle of developing or workshopping or what, like, how do we get out of this idea of final destination when it comes to something like what you want to call a festival? I feel that we're so sometimes just locked into, Lord of mercy, We do it, we try, we do this, we that, we work, boom, it done, bap, we drop it until it come close to the next time to have the next one again.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. But that mean, but some of the first, as you rightly said, some of the first festivals were the Harvest Festival, the Spring Festival. You know, you're planting things for the community, and everybody comes together, and that's the festival. You're gonna reap everything because, you know, Harvest Festival. Yes, you might sacrifice some people or some animals, whatever. But you know, that might be part of it, might not. But yes, but there's this cycle. You know, the what?
Sacrifice some people. You said sacrifice people. That's what.
Yes, or animals.
In them time there.
In them time there, not now. Well, I mean, some people still doing it because remember.
Oh my God.
Remember St. James a few years ago. Anyway, so, yes, but you know, and a feast of this and a feast of that is
right.
You know, this circular idea and this cyclical thing. I think sometimes we put ourselves out of this circular thing. This and it comes back to even the deepest spirituality of giving and receiving, right? This cyclical thing. Sometimes we just want to take, and some people just want to give and cannot accept. So we've taken ourselves out of who we are naturally, and we're paying the price, I think, for it.
I think so. And that's where I'm going, in the sense that the template for the thing to be generative and regenerative exists in nature. And that is something that our forebears, who gave us this idea of using festivals to celebrate the reaping time, the harvest time, or you understand? Like maybe you did have planting festivals too, but the planting, the nurturing, the testing, the reaping, the showcasing, the replanting, those things, I think, should actually be involved in the way that we do things like festivals, or we do things like performances. We do things that are creative, that have a showing. You know what I'm saying? I think,
and the succession planning and the continuity
and all of that. Because when you're doing the planting, that's what you're doing, you know.
Yeah.
When you're doing the planting, because what is happening is that a lot of people are doing they're doing unearthing of things that they haven't planted.
Yes.
Oh, jeez and peace. Whoever sorry. They're unearthing out there. They're doing a lot of unearthing and not doing any kind of planting. It's a very linear and extractive way of looking at creative work. So the kind of regeneration that we need for community is not going to happen if we don't change our minds and actually align with what already exists. So maybe we can ask ourselves, Mikey, you're because you are a festival director, I'm gonna say yes, and I mean you're trained in the thing as well. Like for yours, we can think, okay, so where are you? What is your planting time, and what are your planting activities? You know what I'm saying? What is your watering time and your nurturing time? What are those activities? What are exactly, so that you can reap, even though you're reaping from different spaces, right? And other spaces are reaping from their spaces and bringing to your festival table, right? But like as an ethos.
So the Jamaica itself has a dance season. We have a season of dance, and so my job as the primary curator for the Jamaica Dance umbrella, to make sure we go to everybody dance season, whether we did intend or not. So I have to see their shows,
right?
To know what it is that their theme for the year and what it is, and then so mentally I might not be taking notes like that, but mentally I'm pulling together a festival. Even as I'm watching, I say, oh, this is what Zymaka did this year. The piece that I see, I really wanted. And then so NDTC is doing such and such. And so I watch the shows and imbibe. I pull up myself on the dance that is being presented. Sometimes we just get a call and I just say, this would be nice. And I just say, Marlon, I haven't seen La Bess in such a long time. And I say, it would be nice. And sometimes he has accommodated me at least twice I say, I'd love if NDTC did the best on JDU, and we give him enough time for him to work him and bring it back, and he present it on JDU. And so that's kind of the process, and then the coordination aspect of it. I have Aidan James Rosini, who is a coordinator, and he starts speaking to people by a certain time, end of the year before, because festival JDU is in March.
Right.
November, December, he starts sending out emails. JDU is coming back and so on and so forth. Renee McDonald, we have conversations, and as we get closer to the time, she comes in and we look at all the people who have said what they're doing, and then we start to pull together things and say, all right, which day is me, she, Aiden. Have conversations. You guys were part of my conversation the other day when we were looking at certain, because a festival is a community.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons I also said a primary curator, because I think that I have a curatorial team. That's how I see it. I don't think of myself as the only curator for the festival. So coordinator who is not a dance professional is somebody who, because people who appreciate dance and look at dance and see it from a perspective of somebody who has never really danced, they take a perspective that is important in terms of what an audience who doesn't dance might want to see as well. So that's the kind of process, and then fine-tuning it and say who goes what night and how does this fit with this, how does it mix and match, what kind of experience. Interestingly, even when we started the thing called the dance, Michael, you did one when you mixed
collabs. Yeah, Mike and I did.
And you did one as well, Neila. So the dance collabs is so important to us. This year I think it's dance and not but Aidan, who is not a dance professional, but he has been a co-curator and coordinator of JDU for so long. I'd say about 4 or 5 years now. He said he's just excited. He wants to see dance and art, and his mind is going, how do I do this? And then he'd come back and he said, Mike, I don't know how I'm gonna do it yet, but I just feel like I just need to see dance and art. How are we gonna? And so these things are how you build a community. This is how you build a festival. Investment, investigation, involvement, engagement, all of those words there, we're not just throwing them out. That is how you really build a festival.
So Mike,
yeah.
So Mike, this is a perfect time, because in terms of how long, it's a perfect time because when this episode comes out, JDU will be on. It starts on the Friday or the Saturday?
It starts on the Thursday, actually. So the Thursday night.
Thursday. Okay, Thursday, so when this comes out, we'll be in the middle of it. So I'm just gonna bring up the thing, and if you want to just talk a little bit more about who coming where. Let me see if I can move. I'll take me off.
You did do the stack thing. The stack thing with the 3 was nice. So
it's just in a weird place, but yeah,
that's fine. So on the Thursday, it's the opening night. It's the launch night. It's the night that we have. We'll tell what the festival is gonna be like for the 4 days. We talk about who is gonna be on the show, and that's a night that we honor, because a part of the JDU festival is that each year we honor either a person or a group, and this year we're honoring La Cadco, a United Caribbean Dance Force. So they're being honored this year. We've honored Lantoinette already at some point before, but now we're honoring La Cadco itself, and so that's the Thursday night. Then Friday night, now we have the different dance companies interspersed with solo dancers or dance groups and so on. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And this year we're fortunate we are having 3 groups, international/regional groups. We have Cayman, who is coming from the University of Cayman. We have Cave Hill from UWI Cave Hill. And we also have Janae and Dionysius, and they're coming from Germany. They're Greek, but they're coming from to us through via Germany, and to Adrian Wanless, his new company, that Hummingbird company that he's formed, to do this kind of work, supporting culture, giving back in terms of Jamaica and the Caribbean and so on. So we're pretty excited about JDU this year.
Mikey, like,
Yeah.
I mean, and we have, you and I have had differing ideas about curatorial perspectives, right? You know, me being AD for certain things and shows and so on as well. Explain to me the curatorial perspective and ethos for Dance Umbrella, because you have so many different kinds of and levels of persons who are right beside each other in a lineup, which I don't always agree with, because I'm like, oh man, you know, it takes you here and there, then
dance that the dance that is Jamaica, the dance that is the Caribbean. Michael did something as part of his what you call it, his
thesis.
was it Blip Speak and
folk beats and lip speak,
it's when you were in Spain and you created this thing where you're like people were walking down a thing and they're hearing the music over here, and then you're going to a different sound. And I kind of like that kind of effect for JDU, because beside on every street corner, you write your song, one dancer happen there, song, you look over there, so the church people, them are sing down the road, one rum bar over there, so you have another type of event and so on. And that is how we, in this little crucible, in this little small space, have to deal with each other as artists and as a community. And so I believe that that is important, that we're kind of going through the space in that way. But not just that. I don't want to put on a Sunday night pure religious dance. I want the religious people to come, and I want them to see Wrath of God, which is not necessarily a religious dance, but it is related to a particular thing. And I want them to come and I want them to see dance hall. And I want them to come and I want them to see folk and traditional dance. And I want them to come and see contemporary dance that is not dance for God, but it's just dance. It's these people expressing themselves. I want them to be shocked. I want them to be celebrating what is their thing, but I also want them to enjoy what is not necessarily their thing. And which is why I spoke earlier again about building an audience, because I believe that that's a big part of what JDU is supposed to do and what it actually does. There are people who would never have gone to see a movement show because they're not movements people, they're more CD people, or they're more Lakadko people. But when they see Wrath of God, they're going to go and watch movement show, even if it's just to see Wrath of God. There are people who would not see would not go and who would not think about dance hall in a particular way, but they are seeing it here. And once you're seeing it on a certain stage with us in a certain type of platform under certain lights, you can appreciate it in a different way and say, my God, this is art, instead of and so we separate ourselves, you know, this is dance hall or that's a dance hall. But when you said this is dance hall and it is art, it is on a stage next to NDTC Kumina, and it is standing up in its own right, and I get to see it on the JDU stage. That is what's important to me. So that's a part of how JDU is curated as well. And also a little bit more technical as well is that I also space out the companies. So I don't want to have a JDU where you see Lakadka, NDTC, movements, dance ensemble on one night, and then the next night you see dancehall and solos and stuff like that, and then another night you see high school groups. No. So on the first night, you're gonna have at least 2 or 3 of the more established dance groups, and between that, you see some dance studios that may not be as established, and you see some solo work, and you see some dancehall work, and you see some folk work from stuff. Yeah, you might see a dance film, and on the next night, you see the same kind of layers and stack experience and appreciation of dance, and the same thing on the Sunday night as well. So that kind of thing that I want for JDU to impact the audience with.
And you've done audience surveys and stuff as well, and it's working as you intend it to.
I have not done an audience survey, but that's a very good idea. It's more of a word of mouth. It's more of a word of mouth thing, but that's a very good idea.
But I mean, the word of mouth is that's valid, you know, in terms of feedback. However you get it is valid. Yeah.
For word of mouth, it is very good. For word of mouth, it's very good. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I love that you have been able to so clearly articulate what the perspective is. I love it. I love it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Cool. It feels like our thing is winding down, which is great. I'm going to share one more thing too. I'm going to be in Florida. So if anybody's watching this and they're going to be in South Florida, there's a museum called Island Space. It's the only Caribbean museum I know of. They opened up a couple of years ago. And I'm going to be there. Let me put this up and we'll go on talk. From the 16th of March, these things are going to be happening on the weekends. It's going to be a Jamaican folk instrument building, as well as presentation and learning about some of the history and the styles. And that'll be going on for 2 weekends, and then there'll be like a showcase the third weekend. So come on out if you're interested. You'll be building and decorating your instruments, and at the end, the museum is going to showcase. It's going to keep on display some of the instruments for a few months, and then you can get them back when you're done, and you'll be able to decorate the instruments any way you feel like. But we're going to give you some background, especially with stuff like the banjo, which is coming from Africa. It came straight to the Caribbean first, and then to the Americas. Something called accounting and the banza, and that's where it's coming from. So it's you see banjo and stuff, and you think Appalachian, but it's a favorite thing too. So so it's good to get some of that history and some of that background and make one yourself and figure out some stuff to play. I'm going to be you might not have the technique, but I'm going to be doing consultations with the people who are building it for them to come up with a story or a collaboration or whatever they do, and I'll create backing tracks and find images and stuff to present for however they're going to present their thing. So it's not meant to be stuck in time or stuck in a particular thing. That you can do what you want with it, but as long as you get it, you're doing it from an informed place.
So when is that going to happen in Jamaica?
Yeah.
Well, we need to get it funded. The museum applied for funding to do this.
Okay.
So yeah. So I mean, happily, because Jeff is there. This should have been Jeff coming, but he had some health issues and stuff, so he couldn't be able to make. So we had to find somebody else to do that part. But Jeff is there, and as any pan not ready to come home. So
knock some pan then, no? But knock some pan.
Exactly. So, but but this is nice, cool. Let's see. You know what I feel like. Let me play
Bad.
Let me play like outro music.
Okay.
Hear me out. When we come up with the title for the next one, we must post it somewhere and get people some input on it. I mean, on what they thought, and then incorporate it in what we talk about as well.
True.
So we'll see.
Yeah,
I like it. All right. All right. So until next time.
On the table.
On the table.
On the table.